You are standing in the middle of a cold night. The wind howls in biting, piercing gusts. There is a rustling sound right behind your back. You cannot see anything at all. But that thing is definitely aiming straight at you. How long can you hold out in this desperate darkness? You have no sharp claws. You have no thick fur either. You are just a fragile creature sinking into sheer terror. Tonight, you only need to reach out and flip a small switch for the darkness to retreat. You will drift into a peaceful sleep in a warm and safe room. But do you know where this peace actually comes from? Over 2 million years ago, dusk falling meant impending death. Try to imagine a reality where the first spark never ignited. You never grasped the power of fire. The brilliant humanity as you know it today would not exist at all. You would eke out a living day by chewing tough roots and chunks of raw, pathogen-filled meat. Why would a trivial matter like chewing food determine your entire fate? The answer lies in a cruel biological equation. Your current brain consumes up to 20% of your total daily energy. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham's hypothesis has proven that heat permanently changed the human body's structure. Raw food requires an enormous amount of energy and time just for the stomach to break it down. Without fire, what would you spend your daytime doing? You would spend 6 to 8 hours a day just chewing and chewing. Your jawbone would be extremely large and robust. Your stomach would have to swell to its maximum to digest stiff tree barks. Your brain would forever be locked inside a narrow skull. You would never have the free time to think about anything else other than gnawing hunger. How could you build civilization when your stomach is always screaming? You would never write history. You could not erect skyscrapers that touch the clouds. Even less would you ever dare to dream of a journey into the vast universe. You would forever be just a lowly primate, always trembling on the brink of extinction. Have you ever wondered how your ancestors survived the Ice Age? The Earth was once frozen for tens of thousands of consecutive years. White ice and snow covered every corner. In the absence of fire, your fragile body would freeze solid in the blink of an eye. You don't have a thick layer of fat for protection. You have nothing to withstand the howling, bone-chilling winds. How did a naked creature overcome the wrath of nature? The truth is, you would freeze to death without a fire to warm you. You would forever be trapped in a sweltering equatorial land. Your herd would be sparse and constantly fall prey to larger wild beasts. Fire gave you the ultimate weapon to ward off bloodthirsty predators. But do you realize that fire brought an even greater miracle than that? It created a concept called free time. Previously, when the sun set, your life practically ended. You had to scramble up towering trees to escape. You squeezed your eyes shut in fear and could only pray for dawn to arrive. You did not have a single moment to rest. How could you create language without those nights gathering together? The brilliant firelight extended your day. It drew a circle of absolute safety in the middle of a silent sea of night. For the first time, you could sit down and look straight into the eyes of your own kind. You began to utter meaningful sounds to recount the morning's hunt. The flickering fire was your most primitive social network. What if mythical stories were never spoken? Your imagination would die prematurely. Without fire, there would be no religion, no law, or widespread unity. You would live in fragmented small groups, always suspicious and tearing at each other over a dry bone. Fire did not only transform your body, it reshaped the entirety of human society. But is this relentless forward journey truly a privilege? There is a deeply cruel and paradoxical truth about this radiant light. Fire did not merely help you build a world of convenience, it killed the incredibly acute wild beast that once existed inside you. Before knowing how to create fire, your senses were unbelievably sharp. What superpowers did you lose in exchange for this peace? You used to be able to smell a thunderstorm from dozens of kilometers away. You could hear the very faint footsteps of a stalking leopard. Your eyes could pierce through the hazy night. You were once flesh and blood of Mother Nature. What happens when you no longer have to fight for your life every day? Absolute safety is actually the gentlest poison. You traded your razor-sharp instincts for an illusion of control. You began to panic at the very natural things you once understood. Why did the forgiving night become your most terrifying enemy? Fire drove the darkness deep back into the dense forest. But it also turned you into an utterly desperate light addict. You sat huddled around the fire and forgot how to look up at the Milky Way. Artificial light suffocated your vast universe into a narrow circle. Do you see yourself still repeating that habit right now? You build reinforced concrete walls to lock nature outside. You create tedious, repetitive cycles to cover up the uncertainties of life. You drink bottled water, eat canned food, and breathe in air-conditioned rooms. Yet fear still smoulders and clings to you. Why do you feel suffocated even when sitting in an extremely safe room? Because your nervous system was originally born to flee from the fangs and claws of wild beasts. It wasn't programmed to sit motionless under glaring lights and worry about text messages. You thought you had tamed the fire, but could it be that fire is the one taming you? You have lost the flexibility of your muscles. You severed the sacred connection to the wild darkness that nurtured your ancestors. You fear the silence and dare not face the void within. You frantically fill everything with light, with noisy sounds and virtual stimuli. Now, look down at the light reflecting on your face. You are immersed in a lifeless, glowing, rectangular block. You unconsciously swipe your hand through cold streams of information. You think you have hidden well from the monsters lurking out there. But do you know what the most bitter truth is? Those monsters have never disappeared. They just moved house to take up permanent residence deep inside your mind. You are the only creature on this earth willing to burn down the entire world just to exchange for a little false sense of warmth.